Chapter 4. Sonia stepped into her bedroom after taking a scalding hot shower. She had scrubbed her skin raw, like she was determined to wash away every trace of that exhausting and traumatizing day. She wrapped herself in some thick, fluffy pajamas and finally crawled into her bed. Her warm, heavy comforter felt like a welcoming embrace. Sonia inhaled deeply, feeling at peace and safe as she curled up in her bed. Then, bam! A loud knock at the door. She sat up as her heart began to pound wildly. Was it Javier? Or maybe Rico had sent Blue to come and collect the cocaine that was now swirling in the sewers of Cartagena. With her heart pounding and mind racing, Sonia threw off the covers and climbed out of bed. The soft murmur of muffled voices drifted from the front door. She stepped out of her room to see Gloria speaking to Lucky.
There she is.
Lucky smiled over at Sonia as she kicked clumps of snow from her boots. Gloria turned, her eyes meeting Sonia's, and a warm smile spreading across her face.
I thought you went to sleep.
Gloria remarked as Lucky stepped past her. Yeah, I was about to go to sleep.
I just want to talk real quick. This won't take long.
Lucky smiled. Then, as Gloria headed back to her room, Lucky called after her.
You're coming to my baby shower next weekend, right?
Yeah, Saturday at 12?
Gloria asked. Lucky nodded, beaming.
It's a winter wonderland theme. We're asking everyone to wear all white.
Gloria chuckled.
Oh, you got a whole theme going on?
Yep. All the food and decorations are gonna be white, too.
Lucky said proudly.
I'll be there, in all white.
Gloria assured her before going back into her room. Lucky's grin faded quickly as soon as Gloria closed her door.
Girl, what happened with you and Rico? He's been calling me all day, telling me to come over here and put you on the phone.
Sonia didn't answer, just turned and walked down the hallway as floorboards creaked beneath her feet. Once they sat on the couch and Sonia finally spoke, her tone was stern and sharp. I'm never speaking to your cousin again.
So he was with another girl down there.
Lucky said, her heart breaking for Sonia. No. Well, maybe. I don't know. She paused. At this point, I don't even care anymore. Then her voice lowered. Rico forced me to transport drugs. Lucky shook her head.
Rico wouldn't have you do that. He acted like he didn't even want you to know what he was involved in.
But he did. Sonia's voice cracked. He dragged me into the bathroom, then taped drugs to my body. He told me I had to help him, and I almost did it, Lucky. I almost went through with it. Sonia dried her eyes with the edge of her pajama shirt. Rico was just ready to throw me away, like I was nothing. Lucky leaned back on the sofa, like she couldn't believe her ears.
You all right?
I am now. Sonia lifted her chin with a nod. Then she grabbed Lucky's arm with a firm grip, and her tone shifted, becoming intense and charged with emotion. While I was in the security line, I was about to be pulled aside and searched. I know I was. Then I prayed, and Jesus heard me. Lucky gave her a look like she was crazy, but Sonia kept going. I felt it, right here. She tapped her chest. Then I just threw up, right there in the line, and I was able to get away from the security guard. Lucky raised an eyebrow.
I'm glad you was able to get out of there. But you don't think it was just a coincidence? You was nervous, so you threw up. Nothing to do with a little prayer.
Sonia just smiled and said, No, Lucky. I'm telling you, it wasn't my nerves. After I prayed, I could feel it, this peace. It was beautiful, and I can still feel it now. Sonia looked like she was going to cry, and Lucky looked concerned. Then Sonia's face softened as she said, "This past year, I wasn't myself. I was so mad. But now, I feel like things are going to go back to normal."
Where's the stuff now?
Lucky asked, pulling Sonia from her thoughts. "What?"
The drugs.
"I dumped them in the toilet. That's probably why Rico sent you here, so I could speak to him. He's ones where his precious package is." Sonia shrugged, all cool and collected. "Just tell him I flushed it, and now he needs to leave me alone."
I don't think he's calling about that stuff. When I spoke to him, he sounded so sad, saying he couldn't believe he messed things up so bad. That's why I thought he cheated, and you was ignoring him.
Lucky pulled her phone from her purse, then asked,
You don't want to just talk to him one last time, see what he wanted to say. Maybe he wants to apologize.
Sonia shot Lucky a look, like she'd lost her mind. Then she said in a strong and steady voice, making herself clear, "I'm never talking to him again. Now that I'm away from Rico, I'm staying away. His own mother tried to warn me about him, but I didn't listen. I can't believe I was so stupid." Lucky sighed.
Y'all are being way too hard on him, acting like he's some kind of monster.
"I'm not saying that, but I know he's no good for me, and I'm not making the same mistakes again." Lucky smiled weakly and said,
I always thought the two of you would make it. Have some kids, and our babies would be cousins.
"I did too, but this ain't some fairy tale. None of that was ever gonna happen, not with somebody like Rico." She sighed as her eyes moved over Lucky's fat belly. "And to be real with you, I don't think Rico's ever coming back here anyway. He was probably just telling me all that to keep me hanging on. He was always trying to control me."
I don't think that's the case. Rico's been telling me and my mother that he's coming back too. Made it seem like it will only be a matter of time. He said it would definitely be within the next year.
Hearing that news any other time would have had Sonia jumping for joy. But now it just sent a chill through her, like an ice-cold wave of dread. The entire time Sonia had been home, she felt secure, resting in the fact that Rico was thousands of miles away, and she no longer had to worry about seeing him again. Now, the thought of him eventually returning had her uneasy. The ringing of Lucky's phone interrupted Sonia's anxious thoughts. Lucky flipped open her cell, then showed Sonia the screen. After reading Rico's name, Sonia flipped the phone shut.
You sure you don't want to just talk to him one last time?
Sonia shook her head. Lucky sighed, shoving her phone back into her purse.
I really can't believe all of this happened today. But I'm happy you made it out all right, no matter how you got out of it.
She mumbled. "Jesus got me out of it," Sonia said, her voice sharp and strong. Lucky rolled her eyes.
You sure you just not convincing yourself that the prayers work? And everything would have went down the same way whether you prayed or not.
"You can spin it however you want, but I know," Sonia said confidently. "Lucky, let me ask you something. How do you know Yaya ceremonies get you the money and relationship you asked for? It is not just some coincidence. Stuff you would have gotten without going to her."
Because I know.
And I'm telling you, I know too. Most people don't know what the both of us know. That there's stuff going on in the unseen world. Forces moving and making things happen. People make up explanations to dismiss things they don't understand. But we know. Sonia's eyes were glassy. "Lucky, I'm telling you, without that prayer and without God hearing me, I would be down in a Colombian jail cell right now. He saved my life." Sonia was staring off into space like she was rewatching the events. Then Sonia smiled and asked, "And guess who gave me a ride from the airport?"
Who?
"That cabbie from my birthday. The one who first told us to leave the witchcraft alone."
And you don't think it's just a coincidence?
"Lucky," Sonia sighed. "You know it's not. Of all the days, he popped back up today after I prayed. No, it wasn't a coincidence. You gotta admit that."
All right.
Lucky said sarcastically.
I don't want to get you all riled up about Jesus again.
She sighed dramatically.
I really hope you don't start acting like your cousin Anna. Acting all high and mighty and looking down your nose at me for going to Yaya.
"Lucky, Anna never said one bad thing about you. She was going so hard in the cab because she's worried about you. She was worried about us both. I didn't see it back then, but I do now. Anna just wanted us to leave that stuff alone because it really is dangerous. It all leads to destruction. And now that I know, it's like all I want to do is get you to turn to Jesus too. He's the truth, and he's the only way for us to find real peace."
Sonny, he's your truth. But that don't mean he's gotta be the only way. I go to Yaya and the ancestors are my protectors. They give me peace.
She said simply with a shrug. "But Jesus isn't just my truth, he's the truth." Lucky sighed, shifting away from Sonia.
See? There you go. Looking down your nose at people who don't choose to believe what you believe. Just like Anna. Like y'all are somehow better than the rest of us.
"Me and Anna don't think we're better. We know we're not good. Nobody on this earth is good. But the difference is, we know that because we're flawed and imperfect, we all need Jesus. Everybody. Without him, we're nothing."
Sonny, just 'cause that's what works for you doesn't mean it's for everybody. You're so sure that what you think is right, that Jesus is the only way. That's looking down on what other people believe in. You worship him, and just let the rest of us do what we doing already. Not everybody is gonna believe like you do. Don't expect the rest of us to turn to Jesus.
She mocked again. "I know everybody won't believe in Jesus. Most people won't turn to him. And most won't end up in heaven. That's just a fact." Sonia stared Lucky dead in the eye. "Most are gonna burn in hell. The Bible says, small is the gate, and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. But because I know this, I want to make sure that you turn to him too, before it's too late. That's why I'm telling you this now." As Sonia shot her a pleading look, Lucky just stared at her like she had lost her mind.
Sonny, look, don't get yourself so upset over something I'm not even concerned about.
Lucky pushed out a harsh laugh.
You over here worried about me burning up in some made-up hell. Trust me, after I leave here, I'm just gonna transition to the other realm and go and join the ancestors. I'll be good. If Jesus is good for you, I'll support you in your decisions. So please, just do the same for me.
Now Sonia was the one looking at Lucky with pity. Like I said before, Jesus is not my truth. He's the creator of the universe and savior of the world. He's my God and yours, whether you acknowledge him as God or not. He died so we wouldn't have to burn in hell, which is real. All that stuff we were involved in with Yaya, communicating with our ancestors, was a lie from Satan. Just another false religion, created to turn us away from Jesus. Lucky's mouth hung open as she shook her head in disbelief.
You're even worse than Anna. You being mad disrespectful and so judgmental.
Sonia shook her head. "It would be more disrespectful for me to keep my mouth shut and not tell you any of this. If I did that, it would just mean that I knew the truth and didn't care what happened to you when you died. I'm telling you all this because you're literally my best friend and I love you. I'm just afraid for you." Sonia paused, then stared into Lucky's eyes. "If you don't make a change, things won't end well." Lucky shot her an angry look, but before she could snap, Sonia quickly said, I'm not trying to be mean. This is just something that I know. Sonia's eyes were watering.
Look, Sonny, I'll be fine. You're over here getting yourself all hyped up over nothing. I'm good. Yaya don't deal with Satan, and neither do I. Some things in the universe are unknown to others. But just because you and Anna don't understand it, doesn't mean it's automatically from the devil. Trust me, I'm good. And I'm not going to hell.
She laughed.
You sure you all right? Because I'm starting to think we need to check you into Bellevue.
Lucky joked. I'm not crazy, Lucky. This is the best I felt in a real long time. Lucky just stood up with a sigh, throwing on her jacket.
Well, since you're fine, and you don't want to ever speak to Rico again, I'ma head home. I don't want to get snowed in over here and have to listen to you rant about Jesus all night.
Sonia followed Lucky down the hallway. Then, just before heading out the door, Lucky spun around and said,
Come by my house later this week so we can back up them party favors. We got so much to do before the shower.
Sonia nodded and said, I know you don't believe in it, and you think I'm crazy, but can you please come to church with me next Sunday?
Sonny, I would go, but I'm gonna be so tired after we finally had a shower.
Lucky, please.
Okay, I think about it.
Lucky lied. The next day, Sonia dragged herself into the conference room on a gloomy Monday morning, still drained from all the drama that went down the previous day. As she peeled off her coat, she spotted a tray of cupcakes sitting on the table. Each cupcake was topped with big, fluffy swirls of vanilla frosting and light blue sprinkles. Next to the tray was a blue Columbia University hoodie. She held up the cute sweatshirt, pictured herself proudly wearing it on campus. She was ready to start her new journey, one that almost slipped through her fingers, all because of one reckless mistake.
Congrats again.
Rita smiled in the doorway. Thank you.
You'll officially be a college student. You excited?
Yeah, a little nervous too, Sonia admitted.
You're gonna love it. And I know you'll do great.
Rita said with a nod. Sonia's smile faded as Javier stepped into the room. Noticing the tense stare-off between the two, Rita promptly excused herself. Javier didn't say a word. He just pulled out his phone, dialed up a number, and held it out to Sonia. She didn't need to check the screen to know who he was calling. She rolled her eyes and refused to take it, but Javier shoved it into her hand.
Talk to him,
He said, all serious and stern. Even without the phone up to her ear, Sonia could hear Rico's tiny voice coming through the speaker. Annoyed, she snapped the phone shut, then tossed it onto the table.
Yo,
Javier said, snatching it up and inspecting it for damage. I don't want to talk to him. Like I told you yesterday, I got rid of the drugs. I flushed them down the toilet back at the airport. Javier let out a deep sigh as he walked over and shut the door quickly.
watch how you talk around here.
She rolled her eyes. Did you tell him I got rid of it? Javier nodded. Then why does he keep calling me? If he needs me to pay for it, tell him I get the money to him later.
I doubt that.
Javier muttered.
Rico said he wanted to apologize for making you go through with it, talking about he never should have asked you to do it, just like I told him before it all went down.
Javier muttered. Javier, if you knew it was a stupid idea, why'd you go along with it?
The only reason I went down there was to talk with Rico while they're going through with it, and I didn't think you'd actually agree to do it. Not after the way you was acting in my truck when Rico got arrested. I thought for sure you have enough sense to tell him no.
I did tell him no. Rico forced me to do it. Sonia's voice shook. Javier looked away from her, his intense glare easing up a little. Is Rico gonna get in trouble with those people because of what I did? she asked, voice no longer filled with anger.
He made it seem like he wouldn't, but him and his uncle had to sell off a couple of cars to pay back those people. But he said that they'd be fine.
Sonia was starting to feel sorry for Oscar and Rico for a split second, but caught herself and quickly shook it off. Then, with an attitude, she said, well, he never should have made me go through with it, and he shouldn't even be dealing with that stuff anyway.
Rico said he's doing all that to get back here to you.
Sonia laughed sarcastically. Then why was he dealing with any of that back when he was here in New York? We were already together. He got involved with that stuff and messed up everything because he's greedy. Javier was silent. Inside, he agreed, but there was no way he was about to speak against his friend. Sonia broke the silence, asking, why did Rico say that you owe him?
What?
When he was trying to force me to go through with it down in Colombia, you kept telling him we shouldn't do it. I was so happy you was trying to talk some sense into him. But then Rico said you owed him and that you had to help. Then you just folded and decided to go along with it. Javier stared at Sonia with an intensity that confused her. Then, before either could speak again, the door swung open, cutting their conversation short. Jasmine, the girl from accounting, who filled in for the receptionist, stepped in, flashing a big bright smile.
Congratulations.
Jasmine cheesed, just as Javier dipped out. Sonia forced a smile as her eyes drifted down to the sweatshirt and cupcakes.
Rita just told me that she's starting classes at Columbia next week.
Yeah, I'm excited, Sonia said weakly.
I told her I would show you around campus.
Jasmine's smile faded after noticing Sonia's frown. Then she quickly added,
Only if you want me to.
sorry, I would love that, Sonia said, trying to force a smile. Then she nudged the plate of cupcakes toward Jasmine. The two sat in the conference room, devouring every last cupcake as they made plans to go explore campus before Sonia started classes. Later that week, Sonia and Lucky were sprawled out in Lucky's living room, surrounded by a mountain of tiny white party favor bags and a sea of white tissue paper. They stuffed gift bags with miniature bottles of Victoria's Secret's lotions and shower gels, then meticulously went over the final touches of the shower. Lucky wanted to make sure that nothing was overlooked. They double-checked the guest list, confirmed the catering order, and ensured the playlist was ready to set the perfect mood. Lucky had Sonia plan out every detail, like she was organizing one of Rita's galas. Lucky wanted everything to be perfect, and had been acting like a little bridezilla the entire time. But she somehow knew this was the closest thing she'd ever get to a wedding with blue.
Everything white.
Lucky demanded. Even down to the menu, which consisted of fruit dipped in white chocolate, miniature vanilla cupcakes, and tiny cannolis with no chocolate chips. The only splash of color in the entire place would be Lucky and Blue, dressed in their matching Burberry outfits. As the girls filled the last of the gift bags, Lucky held up a tiny bottle of Love Spell lotion, frowning at the purple packaging.
Sonny, I really think we should rip off these labels. The theme is all white.
You're being crazy again. We are not about to sit up here tearing off all those labels just for a theme. Sonia shook her head. Look, we'll give people the bags before they leave out the door. That way, none of the labels clash with your theme. Sonia joked. They both laughed. Lucky ran her eyes over the dainty little goodie bags filled with party favors and smiled. Then her voice was filled with excitement as she said,
Sonny, everything is so cute. You working for Javier's aunt really helped out with my shower.
Sonia nodded. It did. And after you have the baby, you gotta come to one of Rita's events. You won't believe how lavish those parties are. I've only been to a couple of them, but they are always so nice. It's like being in a whole nother world. Sonia shook her head in disbelief.
I don't need to wait until I had a baby to go. Just tell me the time and the day and I'll come through.
Lucky laughed. Sonia glanced at her phone as it buzzed with a text message. She tapped away at the keypad, then Lucky asked,
Is that Rico?
Sonia made a face. No, this is a girl from work. I told you I'm not talking to him.
Sonny, he's been calling me all day, telling me to give him your new number.
Lucky, you better not. This is my work phone. Rita only bought it for me because I threw out my other cell, and I'm not trying to duck and dodge him from this phone too.
Calm down. I'm not gonna give it to him. I just wish you would speak to him one last time, even if it's just to end things and tell him goodbye, so he can stop bothering me.
Sonia was silent, sliding lotion into the very last gift bag. Then, changing the subject, she announced with pride, The bad dreams are gone. This is the 4th night I got some good sleep and didn't have those same old nightmares. Lucky smiled.
That's good. I know how much you hated going to sleep because of those dreams.
Sonia nodded. I knew they would stop when I said that prayer on Sunday.
You sure it's not just a mind over matter thing? And because you thought positively, you brought on that positivity yourself, and that prayer had nothing to do with it.
No, Lucky, that wasn't the case. Sonia frowned as she stood and put on her coat.
You'd be surprised about the power of positivity. The power in our minds can affect so much in our lives. We can literally manifest our own realities.
Whether you believe it or not, I prayed to God and He helped me. All power and glory to Him, Sonia said simply with a smile. Lucky rolled her eyes, struggling to her feet. As they reached the front door, Sonia smiled with a sigh. Everything is finally done. Now all we have to do is go to the baby shower, enjoy all that food, and have some fun.
I know. And Blue's family better appreciate everything we're doing for the shower. All the money I'm spending on them. You and your mother and my mom are gonna be the only people I know at the shower. The rest is all Blue's people.
Well, get used to it. You'll be in Queens soon, raising the baby with all your new family. Sonia laughed.
Don't remind me. I still need to pack up my stuff for the move, and I'm already so tired.
Where is Blue to help? Every time I come over here, he's MIA.
Girl working and putting the finishing touches on the house.
Lucky's frown turned up into a wide smile.
He's having them paint the baby's room blue.
It's a boy? Lucky nodded, her curls bouncing as she cheesed. I still can't believe it, Sonia laughed, trying to picture Lucky as a mother.
Hello? Excuse me, Huxtables.
After work on Friday night, Sonia was beyond tired. The baby shower was the next day, and she hadn't wrapped a single gift. She plopped down in the living room, staring blankly at the TV as she wrapped present after present. Sonia tossed a hastily wrapped diaper bag onto the floor, its corners jutting out awkwardly beneath the wrapping paper. Just then, her cell phone buzzed to life, playing the distinctive ringtone she'd chosen for unsaved numbers. She glanced down at the screen and saw the familiar international code for Colombia. Sonia was gonna kill Lucky. She sighed a heavy, exhausted breath, then pressed ignore. After slapping the bow onto the head of a teddy bear with way more force than necessary, she immediately called Lucky, ready to go off. After getting no answer, she closed her phone, only for Rico to call again. She hit ignore, and just as she was getting ready to turn off the phone, she got a call from Javier. Sonia rolled her eyes. Now she was wishing her new cell phone wasn't for work, so Javier wouldn't have her new number either. Did you give Rico my number? Sonia sighed.
Yeah.
She interrupted him, going off about how Rico was going to be blowing up her new phone. But then Javier cut her off, dropping a bomb that hit Sonia like a punch to the gut. She sat in a daze as Javier broke the news. Lucky was dead. And not just dead, she'd been killed. None of it made sense. Then the world just seemed to go quiet, and Javier's voice was muffled like Sonia was underwater. She sat frozen in the living room, phone trembling in her hand as her vision blurred with tears. After Lucky's funeral service, Sonia stood numb at the front of the funeral home, her fingers trembling as she wiped away tears. The weight of loss pressed heavily on her chest as she stared at Lucky's cream-colored casket. Sonia's heart ached. Lucky had her whole life ahead of her, and that baby didn't even get a chance to see the light of day. Sonia's gaze drifted over to photos of Lucky arranged on easels nearby. In each picture, Lucky's radiant smile seemed to light up the room. There she was, standing proudly at graduation in her red cap and gown. Another photo of Lucky as a kid, laughter in her eyes as she played on the sandy shores of Coney Island. Then another, little Lucky around 2 years old, clinging tightly to her mother's shoulders, with a look of love and a sense of security. The funeral director stepped over to Sonia, informing her that they were ready to take the casket out to the hearse. She moved aside, watching as the funeral staff approached the casket. The sight of the workers acting as pallbearers twisted the knife in Sonia's heart. Normally, it was the family who stepped up for the heavy-hearted task. But Blue and Javier were the only men who showed up to the funeral. Blue was still healing from the gunshot wound to his arm and couldn't carry the casket even if he tried. Then there was Javier, who had left the funeral home before the service had even started. Sonia had only caught a glimpse of him. As she was stepping in, he was rushing out to his truck. After Sonia watched the men carry her friend out the door, she gazed around the almost empty funeral home. Hardly anyone had shown up to the funeral. 6 people, that was it. The emptiness of the room and the absence of mourners felt like another cruel blow. Sonia walked to the back, where Gloria and Anna were speaking to Lucky's mother, Claudia. Claudia was wiping away tears as she spoke.
I'm going back to Colombia next week. There's nothing left for me here. I need to go be with my family.
Gloria gave Claudia a gentle nod as her eyes moved over to Sonia. Her heart breaking all over again, thinking of the unimaginable act of having to bury her own daughter. Later that night, after an entire month of ignoring Rico, Sonia finally accepted his call.
I can't believe you ignore me like this.
Rico, after what you did, why would I ever want to speak to you again? Sonia snapped. Rico sighed.
Look, that's not important right now. How you feeling?
I don't know, she mumbled.
How is my Aunt Claudia?
Not okay. She says she's moving back to Colombia next week.
She told me. You should fly down with her. Come see me.
Sonia didn't answer, the thought of going back sending a shiver of fear through her. Finally, she let out a weak no.
You can't get over that one thing I asked you to do for me, even after I forgave you for what you did.
What did I do?
You ruined a deal I had with some real important people. You have no idea how much you set me back.
He calmed himself and softened his tone again.
I was halfway home before all that went down. But I love you, So I'm moving on from it.
None of that was my fault. Any business you lost, or money you had to pay is on you. I never agreed to do any of that. You forced me. Rico was silent. Then in a low tone, he changed the subject, saying,
Sonny, you all I got left. Let's calm down one last time. Give me a chance to explain everything. You know I can't really talk to you about this on the phone.
Rico, you must think I'm crazy. I don't know what you would do to me if I went down there again. For all I know, you try to off me for messing up your business.
That's not funny.
He said in a low, stern tone. I'm not joking.
You really think I will hurt you?
I wouldn't put it past you. I know how much your little business means to you, and I know how you think I'm disposable.
Sonny, I asked you to do that thing because you're the only one I could trust to do it. But now I know I shouldn't have asked you. Nothing is more important to me than you. Not the money I had to pay or the business I lost. All I care about is you.
I'm not coming, she said simply. Rico let out a strained sigh.
Baby, I'm starting to feel like I'm cursed or something. Everybody around me is dead or hate me. Please don't leave me too.
After a long gap of silence, he asked,
Do you love me?
Sonia sighed weakly, then said, I don't.
I don't believe you. You mad at me right now, and I understand. But this ain't over. Like I said before, I'll be back to New York soon. And when I get there, I'm gonna fix everything.
Chapter 5. Javier knocked on the door of the little house as a blast of icy wind cut through his hoodie. He shivered, glancing back at his car, parked under the dim streetlight. The thought of returning to his heated interior crossed his mind, but after hearing all those noises coming from Sonia's house, he knew somebody was inside. Javier knocked again, harder this time, trying to compete with the sound of loud laughter and kids yelling. Finally, somebody answered, only it wasn't Sonia or her mother. Instead, some little kid was standing there looking up at him with wide eyes.
Is Sonny here?
Javier asked impatiently. The boy nodded, then quickly dashed up the crowded hallway, leaving the door wide open for Javier to step in. Javier navigated his way through the packed hall, moving past Sonia's chattering relatives. He glanced over into the crowded dining room, noticing a happy birthday banner slapped up on the wall. When he finally saw Sonia, she was squeezed into the corner of a couch in the living room, deep in conversation with her cousin Anna. The entire house was crowded, but the living room was definitely where the party was. Javier couldn't understand how so many people had managed to stuff themselves into the tiny house. He felt a wave of irritation as two kids almost tripped him up, wrestling at his feet like they were determined to crack their skulls open on the sharp corners of the coffee table.
And yo, Sonny.
He called to her, but Sonia and Anna were locked in their own little world. He tried again, a little louder this time, and Sonia finally looked up. A look of confusion and annoyance flashed in her eyes as she asked, "What are you doing here?" Just as Javier was getting ready to answer, Gloria stepped in, smiling wide. She had just watched the unfamiliar boy walking through her house and decided to wrap up her conversation with Pam to go over and be nosy.
How are you?
Gloria asked in a sweet tone as her eyes moved over him suspiciously. Sonia looked up, watching as Javier spoke to Gloria with some new strange kind tone that Sonia had never seen from him before.
I'm Gloria, Sonny's mother.
She said, her eyes locked on him and waiting for an explanation of who he was. Ma, this is Javier. We work together. Sonia sighed.
Oh, that's nice.
Gloria's voice finally warmed up a little.
Javier, you want something to eat? Sonny'll be cutting the cake in a few minutes, so you may want to get a plate now.
He doesn't want to eat, Sonia interjected. Javier, what are you doing here? She sighed.
Sonny, don't be rude.
Gloria shot her a look, then smiled at Javier.
Did you want a plate?
To Sonia's surprise, he gave Gloria a nod and said,
Yeah, I can eat.
Sonia's face scrunched in annoyance and confusion as Gloria motioned for Javier to have a seat.
Sonny, come make him a plate.
Sonia rolled her eyes, then followed Gloria up the hall. In the kitchen, Sonia stood there, arms crossed over her chest, watching Gloria pile wings and potato salad onto a styrofoam plate.
You know, you really should be the one preparing his plate. He's your guest.
Javier is not my guest. You invited him to stay. Sonia laughed. Gloria handed Sonia the plate.
What does he do at your job?
A campaign advisor or something. Gloria nodded, impressed. Then she smiled and said,
He must be smart.
Sonia fought the urge to burst Gloria's bubble of playing matchmaker and inform her that Javier was Rico's best friend. She knew then Gloria wouldn't be catering to him and forcing Sonia to play waitress and take him a plate. He only got the job because Luis is his uncle.
Well, at least you know he comes from a good family.
Ma. Sonia made a face in disgust.
What?
Gloria shrugged.
I'm just saying, you and Rico broke up, so why not? You two are broken up, though, right?
Yeah, it's definitely over. Gloria let out a sigh of relief.
Good. After I heard you talking on the phone with him the other night, I was getting kind of worried.
I just spoke to him that one time after Lucky's funeral because he lost his cousin and I felt bad for him. So you don't have to try to marry me off to every boy you see. Sonia joked, staring down at a tray of her Aunt Pam's macaroni and cheese. She scooped up a huge chunk of the neon yellow mac and cheese and plopped it onto Javier's plate.
Sonny, why would you give him all that?
Gloria sighed. Sonia shrugged with a grin. He might like it. By the time Sonia got back into the living room, Javier and Anna were cracking up deep in conversation. Sonia looked Javier over suspiciously, then shoved the plate of food at him. What are y'all talking about? Sonia asked, sitting beside Anna.
My trip to the DR.
Sonny, I didn't know your family was from the Dominican Republic.
They're not, Sonia said flatly.
Sonny's on my mother's side of the family, the South Carolina side.
Anna laughed.
My father is from Santo Domingo.
Javier nodded, then immediately started digging into the cold mac and cheese. Sonia laughed as he took a huge bite and his face immediately twisted up in disgust.
Now, Sonny, why would you do that to him?
Anna smirked, shaking her head. Sonia shrugged with a smile. Anna's mother made that. You like it? Javier choked down the bitterly salty mac and cheese, then shot Sonia a look. Then Sonia asked bluntly, no longer smiling, Javier, why did you come over here?
I need to talk to you about something.
He set his plate on the coffee table and stood.
Let's go outside for a minute.
Sonia stepped outside into the stoop, wrapping her arms tightly around herself as Javier spoke.
Where was the last time you spoke to Yanni?
Not since Twin got arrested a year ago. Why?
I need to talk to her. Let me get a number.
I don't have it. He looked at her with suspicion in his eyes. I don't. And why do you need to talk to her anyway?
Whoever robbed Lucky knew she had that money in the house.
And what does that have to do with Yanni?
That money came from the safe at Twin's condo, and only a few people knew about it. Me, Rico, Lucky, and Yanni.
Sonia stared at him, shaking her head. Well, Twin or Lucky must have told somebody else.
I told Lucky not to tell anybody about the cash, because I didn't want her making herself a target. I'm thinking Yanni went back to the condo looking for the cash, and after she found the safe empty, she went to Lucky's house to find it.
Sonia stared up into the air, trying to make sense of it all, then rolled her eyes. Javier, that doesn't make any sense. You seem like you're trying to pin it on Yanni.
Why would I do that?
I don't know, but Yanni is not a thief, and she definitely didn't kill Lucky. You need to look elsewhere. Javier shrugged coolly.
Maybe Yanni didn't do it. I still want to talk to her.
Sonia shrugged. Well, I don't know where she is, so...
It's all good. I'll find her.
Javier's flat tone gave Sonia a chill. Then, as he headed down the steps, Sonia jogged after him, catching up before he could get into the truck. Javier, what exactly happened the day Lucky got killed? Sonia asked, in a low, soft tone.
Somebody ran up on Lucky and Blue when they were leaving out the house. They shot them, then right inside and stole the cash.
How much did they steal?
$600,000.
Maybe it has something to do with the people who killed Twin, Sonia suggested.
This had nothing to do with that.
Javier said, confidently. You can't know that for sure. Whoever killed Twin was probably going after his cash. And before you took care of Twin's killer, they could have told somebody else about the money. Javier was silent, staring at Sonia with an intensity that scared her.
What did you just say?
Sonia's gaze lowered to the snowy sidewalk. Then she said in a low tone, Rico told me that you got rid of Twin's killer. Javier let out a harsh sigh. Then he looked away from her, heated. I'm just saying, this could be connected, and you don't have to bother Yanni. Instead of replying, Javier turned to get into his truck. Javier, what are you going to do if you find Yanni? Sonia asked in a concerned tone.
Like I said, I just want to talk to her.
Sonia stood frozen still as she watched Javier's taillights disappear up the street. The very next day, Sonia found herself back in Nate's cramped office with its overflowing bookshelves and messy desks. His office was supposed to be closed on Saturdays, but when Sonia called him all panicked, begging for help to track down her friend, Nate told her to stop by. She sat across from him, laying it all out. Lucky killed, Twin's money missing, and Yanni being MIA. As Sonia told him about the messy situation, a sense of familiarity settled over her. It was the same feeling she had a year ago, sitting in that office with Nate's confident way of making her feel like he could handle anything. When Sonia finished speaking, Nate asked,
And where did this money come from?
Sonia shrugged, lowering her eyes to her lap. Then, Nate sat forward with his hands folded on his desk.
The more info you give me, the more I can help.
She let out a light sigh, then gave a few vague details. I'm not completely sure how Twin got the money, but I think it could have been something illegal.
Drugs.
Sonia shrugged. All I know is the money went missing, and now some people think Yanni took it. She paused. and they think she has something to do with Lucky's murder, but I know she didn't. I'm just trying to find my friend before they do, she said in a somber tone. And after you track down Yanni, I want you to find out who killed Lucky. He gave her a nod, then asked with a raised eyebrow.
But you don't want me to look for Twins' killer?
No. Nate sat back in his chair, staring Sonya down like he was trying to figure her out.
A lot has been going on with you since we last spoke.
I know. She sighed.
I'll get started on this tonight, and I'll have something for you within a week.
Then he stood up, pulling his coat from the back of his chair.
I'm about to go get lunch. You should come. We can talk. Catch up.
When they stepped outside, snow was drifting down from the dull gray sky. Nate navigated the crowded streets of Chinatown, leading Sonya into a small Cantonese restaurant just around the corner. As he opened the door for her, a tiny bell jingled, then a little old woman rushed over to the pier. She greeted Nate with a familiar smile, then led the two to a booth in the back. As they sat down on the worn-out vinyl seats, Sonya's eyes moved all around the restaurant. From the walls with faded posters of old Asian movies to the dusty red paper lanterns hanging from the low ceiling. This place is different, Sonya said, glancing around. Then the old lady returned, placing cups of steaming tea onto the table along with 2 sets of chopsticks resting on porcelain holders. Then in a raspy yet warm voice, the old lady asked Nate if he wanted the regular. He told her yes and asked her to bring 2.
You like seafood?
He asked Sonya after he already ordered. She gave him a nod, her eyes still roaming around the restaurant. Nate's eyes, on the other hand, were still focused on Sonya.
How you been?
Nate asked with a hint of concern. I've been fine, Sonya mumbled.
You sure? Seemed to me like a lot been going on since we last spoke a year ago.
Yeah, a lot has been going on, but I'm doing a lot better now. Despite it all, Sonya's serene smile was throwing Nate off. Before he could give it a second thought, she spoke again. And sorry about what happened last year with my ex going off in your office. She shook her head.
No need to apologize. But I still don't understand why you wanted me off the case.
I didn't want you off the case.
So why did you have me drop it?
My ex asked me to, so I did.
And you don't think that was weird, that he wanted the case closed?
Sonya hesitated, then said, he told me he knew who did it. I believed him then. But now I know what a manipulative liar he is. And now I wonder if he just told me that so I could stop working with you, she said, a hint of anger creeping into her voice. Remember that day you came by my house? He saw you leaving and got all jealous. That's when he told me he had found the guy and that I didn't need your help anymore. Told me to call it off. She shook her head with shame. Is it too late for you to reopen the case? Nate shook his head.
Nah, it's not too late. Besides, I never dropped the case anyway.
Sonya smiled. They spent the rest of the afternoon eating squid and spicy noodles as he caught her up on her father's case. Over the past year, Nate had found out that the 4th Precinct had fumbled tons of simple cases and let a bunch of criminals walk free. Nate explained that solving her father's case was taking longer than he expected because he discovered over 50 other cases that had gone cold for no reason. And Nate suspected that all the cases were somehow connected. 2 days later, Sonia and Gloria were at home decking the halls and trimming the tree. While Sonia piled on the tinsel, Gloria sat on the couch, her brow furrowed in concentration as she wrestled with a mess of tangled Christmas lights. Suddenly, Sonia's phone buzzed in her pocket, interrupting her tree decorating. It was Nate. Her heart leapt as she slipped away to her bedroom, a hopeful smile blooming as he delivered the news. He had found Yanni. "Where is she?" she asked, her heart fluttering with anticipation.
Virginia.
Her wide smile faded into a confused frown. "Virginia?" she asked before Nate read off her new address and phone number. "Thank you so much, Nate," she breathed, her voice thick with emotion.
I'm glad I could help.
Nate replied. Then, with a hint of concern, he said,
Just be careful and let me know how it goes.
"I will," Sonia promised, a smile stretching across her face.